I'm interested in sex in the abstract, but not necessarily in reality. Is there a name for that? This one comes up a lot. There is aegosexuality. So aegosexual folks are comfortable with the idea of sex, thinking about it, fantasizing about it in the abstract, but are uncomfortable with the idea of participating in it in any kind of real way. So aegosexual folks are very comfortable with fantasy, but not necessarily with reality. Aegosexuality is part of the asexual spectrum. It is a totally legitimate and real thing. It's an experience shared by a lot of people out there. So you're not alone.
Yes, this is a great example of aegosexuality. If you enjoy all things related to sexual content, but you don't feel sexual attraction for other people, that sounds like aegosexuality, which is also under the asexual umbrella. I think it's more common than people think.
Why would asexual people watch porn? Well, it's not as uncommon or paradoxical as you might think. You don't actually need to experience sexual attraction to become aroused by or to enjoy sexually stimulating content, whether that's porn, erotica, audio stories, or anything else. There's actually a word for it: aegosexuality. I wrote an article for Cheeks and asked some aegosexuals to share their experiences. A notable difference in the way that aego and allosexual people consume sexual content is that aegosexuals do not fantasize about themselves being in those sexual scenarios. They can only find comfort in the fantasies because they don't want to be involved. The distance between themselves and that specific type of sexuality is essential. One person compared it to enjoying watching extreme sports without having any inclination to get involved, and I can vouch for that. One person said that consuming erotic material allows them to get sexual satisfaction without having to get other people involved. A woman said that listening to other women experiencing sexual pleasure helps her body to respond in kind, speeding up the masturbation process. And others have said that it helps them to relieve stress, to learn about sexuality, to experiment with their own without having to compromise their boundaries. You can find my article on Cheeks, my go-to platform for safe and ethical sexual entertainment and education through their Pleasure Academy. If you use my Yasmin code, then you can get 7 days free access. Just click the link in my bio.
From the street I see your window and I look up in. Is that even your house? Is that Sappho you're reading? Is it cool when I don't care? Can you feel me in the air? Under the crack in the door, can you tell I have no floor? And I'm shivering.
Work all night, gonna drink a rum. Daylight come and we want go home.
In the past, I received quite a lot of horrible comments as an LGBTQ+ business, mainly for the fact that a lot of the flags that I do as flag options are a lot less well known, and I've even had people tell me that I'm making these flags and identities up and that they don't exist. Some people have even said my business is stupid and ridiculous. However, when I get orders like this one, it makes me realise how my business is doing so much good and helping so many people. So this customer left me a note saying that in finding my TikTok and looking through the flag options, she finally made sense of what was going on with her sexuality and her gender. She said she'd never had names for them up until now. The flags she identifies with that she got on a keyring are Paragirl and Aegosexual, and as always the definitions are in the video caption.
We go to bed, you doze off, so I take your country girl clothes off. I put my hands on your body, it feels like, hey, it's a fucking scarecrow again, like Mikey Mandarin.
Am I original? Yeah. Am I the only one? Yeah. Am I sexual?
This flag is probably a lot less familiar to most people, and the chances are you won't find it on Pride merchandise, but it is a really popular choice with my customers. And the flag I'm referring to is the Aegosexual flag. So aegosexual falls under the asexual umbrella, and the inverted triangle on the flag represents the inverted aspect of aegosexuality. If you would like to know more, I popped a more detailed description in the comments.
OMG, Aegosexual alert! Woo! So crazy that in 2023, despite me seeing so many videos that could be described as Aegosexual things, but people not understanding the term or even knowing that it existed is baffling to me. Do you mind if I use your comment? So, book talk girlies all over the place probably can relate to being attracted to fictional men and fictional beings rather than real life beings. This is where aegosexual comes in. Even though the main difference between aegosexual and just aerosexual and asexual is that you don't really feel a connection to them. Like, I'm kind of more reading for like how crazy like plots are or just enjoying like super fun upbeat music than having like a different desire towards that. If you're feeling any of these traits, well, congratulations. Welcome to the club.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
This is like a level of delusion that I can pull myself out of at any time, but I love to exist here. For a minute, like, I like to hang out here.
I wanted to talk about the things I have realized since finding out I'm aegosexual and not pansexual. So first of all, if you don't know what aegosexual is under the asexuality spectrum. It means so A means not or without, and ego means self. So without self, sexual. So I like sex as a concept, and I like the idea of it, but like as soon as I'm actually doing it, I get bored. Like, honestly, I get bored. And like, I've already had people tell me, maybe you're just not doing it right. Maybe you need a different partner. Maybe nope. No. I've tried. I've tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. I've tried, I promise. Anyways, so things I have realized. One, I like sex as a concept and as a theory, but in practice I get bored, and most people don't think like that. I thought everyone thought like that. Most people, when fantasizing about themselves with another person, don't use a character that they then play with that person that is completely different than themselves. So my character, if you want to know, is hyper femme, no boundaries, no limits, super submissive, is down for anything. And like she, her pronouns. That should have been a red flag. I don't use she, her pronouns. I'm so dumb. Most people need it, or say they need it, and get cranky without it. Well, not most people, lots of people. That was something I didn't know. Because my fiance came out as aego 3 months ago now, and we haven't had sex since. So, and like, I'm fine with it. Also, most people think of sex as like, it's like a big part of their life. It's never been a big part of my life. Like, it's nice. Like, it's fine. But also most people don't do it to please another person. They do it because they like it. I was doing it because I'm a huge people pleaser and like the attention. So that is what I have found out. So if any of this resonates with you, go look up aegosexual. Have fun. Enjoy your crisis.
Let's talk about aegosexuality. I do want to preface this by saying I'm slightly less familiar with this term than some of the other terms I've defined, so if any aegosexuals want to add in the comments, please feel free. Aegosexual is a term that falls under the asexual umbrella. It describes people that feel a disconnect from sex and don't really want it for themselves. These people may experience arousal, enjoy sexual content, and even fantasize about sex, but they don't actually want sex in a real-life situation. There's also a term called agoromantic, which is the same thing for romantic attraction.